Dragon Ball. Who remembers Dragon Ball? Show of hands? Everyone. Okay, so we're all on the same page here. With a series this big, it's no surprise that there's been a movie adaptation of it. Dragon Ball Evolution. Who likes this movie? Show of hands? Nobody. Okay, right, so we're all on the same page here. I watched this movie for the very first time recently with a friend of mine, and I honestly think it was the worst movie I've ever watched. And I've watched some pretty bad movies in my time. But no, we're not talking about this movie today. You might not know it, but Dragon Ball Evolution wasn't the only live-action movie based on the Dragon Ball series. In fact, there were two others, both of which were unlicensed. Firstly, there's Dragon Ball: The Magic Begins. It was a live-action Chinese remake of the very first Dragon Ball animated picture, Dragon Ball: The Legend of Shenlong, more commonly known as Dragon Ball: Curse of the Blood Rubies in the West. It was released in 1991 with somehow a special edition coming out on DVD in 2007. But nah, this isn't the film we're going to be talking about. We gotta get older. We gotta get more obscure. Way back to the very first ever live-action Dragon Ball movie. Dragon Ball: Fight Son Goku, Win Son Goku. This was, again, an unlicensed live-action remake, this time out of Korea in 1990. Instead of being a remake of an already existing Dragon Ball movie, it's kind of a retelling of the first handful of episodes, which then strays off into having its own ending. Uh-oh, that sounds a lot like Dragon Ball Evolution. You know what, it still baffles me that they made an American remake of Dragon Ball and not Dragon Ball Z, considering that Z is the really popular franchise in the West. But, apparently the movie didn't really leave much of a legacy or a mark on history. It was never re-released on DVD and kind of became forgotten by the masses. Hell, the only way you can find a copy of the movie nowadays is in a Korean thrift store. As far as I know, the movie has never been translated, not officially and not by fans. Which sounds kind of crazy. A Dragon Ball movie, a movie based on one of the most popular franchises of all time, never having a translation. Okay, let's watch the movie. The movie kicks off with a surprisingly nice sunset shot as the opening credits roll. Soak it in while you can, folks, because the cinematography in this movie it's far from par. Okay, is this a movie? Because it looks like someone's home video that they filmed in their backyard. So we see Goku, who appears to be looking for— Whoa! Okay. They certainly picked the right kid for the job. He's definitely athletic enough, that's for sure. The action is really cheesy, but, you know, at least it's staying true to the original series so far. After deciding he's hungry, Goku does like a million backflips off a cliff and then goes fishing. After catching a fish, he does a million backflips back up the cliff. They literally just play the same clip backwards. The jump cuts also make it really hard to tell what the hell is even going on. Though, you know, obviously they're there to cover up the movie's really bad special effects. Walking home with the fish, Goku encounters Bulma for the first time. Just like in the show, she pulls a gun on him, thinking Wait! Why does she have a submachine gun? In the show, she had a pistol, which made sense for a person to carry on them, but who just brings around an SMG with them?
Hey Alex, what's up?
No, not much, you know.
She fires at Goku to no effect, and after resolving the situation and becoming friends, Goku invites Bulma into his house. After seeing the Dragon Ball, she gets really excited and then explains to Goku the Legend of Shenron. She then shows him the Dragon Radar and— that's literally a Game & Watch. Well, like no Game & Watch I've ever seen, but considering the movie's Korean, I wouldn't doubt that it's some cheap knockoff console they used. It kinda looks like a bootleg Donkey Kong Jr. model to me. But why would they use a video game as a prop? Was their budget really so low that the director just borrowed his son's video game to use in the movie? Bulma then uses a capsule to summon a motorcycle, which is conveyed by a cruddy explosion and a really blatant hard cut. You've gotta be kidding me. I could do better than that. I will do better than that. They're then attacked by some dude in a pterodactyl costume, I think. I guess he's supposed to take place of the pterodactyl that attacks them in the show, since they didn't really have the budget to make a proper costume. This becomes a common theme in the film. Like the scene where Goku is attacked by a bear, it's just replaced with a dude in a costume. Pretty lazy if you ask me. But again, they probably just didn't have the budget for it. The choreography is cheesy as all hell, but you know, at least it's entertaining. After the fight, we're shown Pilaf in his castle with his henchmen. I love Pilaf's actor. He overplays everything and he makes the funniest faces. He's accompanied by Mai, who looks enough like Mai, Sho, who's just some guy instead of a dog, and Nappa? Why is Nappa in the movie? He's got hair, but sources online are telling me that this guy's supposed to be Nappa. Nappa would be in outer space right now, like light years away from Earth. Why the hell was he working for Pilaf of all people? I mean, like, as bad as the movie is, it was following the series surprisingly well so far, and then, I guess this is where they started doing their own thing? Whatever. Goku and Bulma set up camp for the night, and wow. Goku's literally watching an episode of Dragon Ball. I know it's like a homage to the original series, but that's a really weird way of doing it. The character watching an animated version of himself on a TV. The next scene is again taken straight from the anime, with Bulma teaching Goku how to take a bath. I cannot begin to tell you how uncomfortable I'd feel filming a young boy naked for the sake of a production like this. Like, they blur it out, but that only further reiterates that his genitals were in fact showing and being filmed in front of a film crew. The following day, we get an establishing dolly shot foreshadowing the arrival of Roshi's turtle. This is probably the only actually cinematic looking shot in the entire movie. I mean, they have the proper depth here, clear distinction between the three planes, with various objects being scanned in by the foreground. Like I went to film school, and I can easily say this is a good shot. And that really makes me wonder if that was even intentional, considering how bad the cinematography is in the rest of the movie. I'm gonna have to write this one as a fluke, because I cannot believe that they, for 2 seconds, just had a good cinematographer, and then he just vanished. Goku practices his morning routine by throwing a boulder up into the air. It then explodes, without reason. The way the boulders gravitate away looks so unnatural, it makes me wonder what bizarre setup they used to achieve the effect. After meeting with the turtle, Goku agrees to help him back to the sea, while Bulma reluctantly follows. Enter Master Roshi. While his personality stays true to that of the original, being a pervert and all, I can't help to be disappointed with his appearance. He's got a head of hair, and the beard just really isn't big enough. And he's not even wearing his iconic sunglasses. Well, at least he's got the turtle shell on, and that's really enough to let us know that is Roshi. And honestly, all the characters are depicted much better in this movie than they were in Dragon Ball Evolution. In this movie, Goku looks like Goku. In Dragon Ball Evolution, he looked like a guy. In this movie, Bulma looks like Bulma. In Dragon Ball Evolution, she looked like some girl. In this movie, Roshi reasonably looks like Roshi. In Dragon Ball Evolution, he looked like a guy. So if there's one thing this movie already has over Dragon Ball Evolution, it may not be production value or budget, but at least the characters look like the characters. After that, Goku and Bulma end up in the village that was being terrorized by Oolong. The events play out the same way as in the show. Goku dresses as a girl, but blows his cover when he takes a leak. The cross-dressing Goku peeing on a fire hydrant heeds the greatest reaction I think I've ever seen. Skipping most of his forms, Oolong then transforms straight into the robot form and fights Goku. I'm really starting to think that aside from costumes, they spent like all of the budget just on fireworks. Once defeated, we see Oolong's true that mask. Oh god. But like again, at least we can tell it's Oolong. In the next scene, Mai spies on Goku and company. She then explodes. She blows up. And then she turns into a centipede and attacks Goku in the water. And to think I thought it was following the show pretty well so far. Oh, Yamcha and Puar. Here we go. Again, the events play out the same way in the show. They're bandits who try to rob them of the Dragon Balls, but to no avail. Puar is literally played by a stuffed toy, and the way his mouth moves is so bad looking. Any scene with Yamcha in it, I can't even look at Yamcha because I'm too busy focused on Puar. He's smoking a cigarette. Why'd they add this? Oh my god. We then get like a solid minute of Yamcha rolling in a sick ride. I don't know why we needed a full minute of this, but alright. After being defeated by Goku, Yamcha and Puar go to spy on the gang as they set up for the night. Anytime Puar moves on his own, it's remember when you were like 8 years old and you'd film your toys and make videos with it, and you would put them on strings and make them hop across the floor? That's literally what this is. An 8-year-old could have done this shot. Oh, and I guess that's Chi-Chi. She even has that helmet knife. Jesus! We then see the Ox King, and I think most of you know how this all plays out. His castle's on fire, and they need the fan to blow it out, but Roshi doesn't have the fan, and Roshi turns into a big buff guy and does a Kamehameha to put the flames out. So you remember when Roshi transforms to get ripped before he fires a Kamehameha. They blatantly just use close-ups of a different actor's muscles to get this effect. Yeah, no one would notice, that's fine. A lot of hilariously bad fight scenes later, including one against Nappa, again, for reasons unknown. Goku and the gang find themselves face to face with a giant robot. I'm surprised they had the budget to get these big robot costumes. Oh, they didn't? Oh, apparently they were left over from a previous movie called Sparkman. When your props have jurisdiction over the direction of the film, your film's probably not gonna be that good. Oolong attacks a robot, and, well, you know how that'll pan out. Goku then gives it a shot, and, well, it's just not enough. So how do they defeat the robot? I really hope you're ready for this. I sincerely hope you are prepared to watch how they defeat this robot. Because when I did, I certainly wasn't. Yamcha jumps into his flying car that shoots laser beams at it until it blows up. Look at this picture here. Look at this right here. Show this still to your friends and tell them that it's from a Dragon Ball movie. This is from a Dragon Ball movie. How likely do you think it is that they'll even believe you? This is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my entire life. Out of nowhere, they then find themselves trapped in Pilaf's castle with the Dragon Balls in Pilaf's hands. I think there was a scene missing or something because it just cuts to this and it does not show how they got in there. You all know what happens. Pilaf is about to make the wish. He summons Shenron, who is just a bunch of neon lights, but Oolong interrupts him, wishing for underwear instead. In a final battle lasting about 10 minutes, Goku defeats Mai, who explodes while Oolong fights Sho. After an epic, and by that I mean really bad, battle with Pilaf, Goku and Oolong finish him off by... What? Oolong just fired a Kamehameha! He can't do that, he's Oolong! If Oolong of all people, Oolong can do it, anybody could do it! Hell, if he can do it, so can I!
Well, if he can do it, I can do it. Well, if they can do it, I can do it.
Pilaf then explodes 3 separate times. The gang celebrates, which is followed by a shot of the entire cast taking a bow, and then credits. Well, I guess that's the end of the movie. That certainly was something, alright. I'm still pleasantly surprised by how accurately the movie follows the show. Well, at least the first 12 episodes before finishing with an ending of its own. The camera work is utter garbage, and the overall quality of the film isn't much better than some kids making a home video in their backyard. But it does have something that Dragon Ball Evolution could never hope to have, and that's a heart. Evolution was made because they wanted a paycheck. But you could tell that these people really loved Dragon Ball, and while they had zero budget, they stayed reasonably true to the story, even throwing in some direct nods here and there. The choreography is cheesy but hilarious, and it's easily some of the funniest fights I've ever watched in a movie. The flips, the kicks, the stupid sound effects, it's all too perfect. So as a final verdict, I can easily say I actually really enjoyed watching this movie. And that's a verdict no one on the planet has ever come to watching Evolution. And since it follows Dragon Ball reasonably well, since if you're familiar with Dragon Ball at all, you're probably going to have your sleeves fall down and forget the lines.